right, cool. We're going to read the Bible, so I want you to stand up on your feet for me. We're going to read the Bible together. The Bible verse we're going to read tonight is Mark 2, verses 2 to 12. It's going to be on the screen behind you. I believe Amy Timmins is on AV tonight. In Amy we trust. Here we go. I wasn't asking for that, but cool, let's go. Gathered. No, it's going to be ages. All right, go. I'm just feeling it. They gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door. And he preached a word to them, that being Jesus. Some men, everyone say some men, came bringing to him a paralyzed man carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it and then lowered the man on the mat and that he was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, everyone say their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." That's a powerful phrase from Jesus right there. Let's just not brush over that for a second. Son, your sins are forgiven. Man's life is changed in a moment. Now, some teachers of the law were sitting there thinking to themselves, why does this fellow talk like that? He's blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone? It is God. Well done. Immediately, Jesus knew in his spirit that what they were thinking and in their hearts, and he said to them, "Why are you thinking these things? Which is easier to say to a paralyzed man, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up, take your mat and walk'? But I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." So he said to the man, "I tell you, get up, take your mat, go home." He got up, he took his mat, and he walked out in full view of all of them. This amazed everybody, and they praised God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this." A moment with Jesus, a moment in his presence will never disappoint. A moment in his presence is never going to disappoint. Hey, let's just pray for a second, then you guys can sit down. God, I pray that tonight that we would walk away understanding that a moment in your presence will never disappoint, God. A moment in your presence can change everything in our worlds forever. In Jesus' name. Amen, amen, amen. Everyone sit down for me. Oh, right, let me just tell you about my friend Simon, right? His name's Simon Packer, so if you want to Google him, don't, but you can. Simon Packer, right, is a friend of mine that we grew up together. I was probably 5 when I met him, and we kind of grew up together till I was about 18, 19 years old. And Simon was the guy that had the party. You know, if you got a friend in your friendship group that does, like, when he has the party, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to get to that party." Do you know what I mean? Like, someone else has a party and you're like, "Yeah, great. You've had like some olives or something," right? Simon Packer's parties were like the parties. I'm not saying everything that happened at those parties was good, but I'm just saying everyone wanted and needed to be at those parties, right? So the thing with Simon is Simon actually turned out that in the future, we fast forward in his life, he's a professional chef. So we used to have New Year's Eve parties, right, that were genuinely, 8, 9, 10 courses of food. In my friend Alex Crowley's house, who had a mansion because his dad was rich, and that was also cool. All right, so he used to host, Simon used to host the party, and we used to have like 9-course meals for like 15 quid, because you used to get it like catering prices and all this other stuff, right? Simon Packer's parties were the best parties. Hands down, no one even came close. You're laughing at me a lot. Party. P-A-R-T-Y, because I got her. Ace Ventura, no? Okay, cool. Simon was so good at doing parties, right, that he actually made a living out of it. He ended up running events that the royal family used to come to. One time he rang me and he's like, "Andy, help!" And I was like, "First of all, what? I'm busy." He's like, "You've got to get to Waitrose." Anyone up here know Waitrose? Booths. We'll go booths for a local flavour of what's going on, right? And the reason it's Waitrose is because they sold a certain type of jam called Dutchy jam, which is the only jam that Prince Charles can eat. Okay? And the only stockist of that is Waitrose. So I went to Waitrose and bought all of the Dutchy jam because the order hadn't come. And they looked at me like I was some sort of freak at the thing. But I bought jam that Prince Charles ate. That's what I'm saying, right? His parties were great, right? His parties were great as long as you were there. You ever heard about a party that happened and then you weren't there and you're like, If I'm honest, I feel a little bit like that about last week. I was in bed ill. I wasn't great, right? But I watched youth and young adults partying and experiencing God in this room. And I'm like, I'm at the party. I've been invited to the party and I didn't get to go. I had FOMO, like genuine. I was like, this is so annoying. And the reality is that everyone is invited to the party that we get to be a part of every single week in here, or the party that is actually the knowledge and knowing and the relationship of Jesus Christ. But the thing is they don't get to come because sometimes they don't get invited. Tonight, I want you to understand and to think that it is our responsibility to invite people to the party. Because this party isn't just a party that we have fun on a Sunday night and then go, sweet, that's not going to affect the rest of my week. No, the party we're talking about is an eternal party. And it's a party that every time you come to it, you don't just go away going, that was a nice feeling. You actually go away going, I feel a little bit bigger inside. Actually, I feel like I could actually be more powerful in this world than I currently am. Oh gosh, I think God could do something in and through me. That's the kind of party I'd like to go to. How do they know? How will they know? How will they know? It's a TikTok thing. Is that still on there? Is that still on TikTok? I've deleted TikTok about 6 months ago, so I'm 6 months back. Matthew 5, verse 14 is the answer to the question I'm asking, how will they know? It says, you. Point at yourself. Say, me. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Oh, no. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify the Father in heaven. Here's the thing, guys. The way you live your life isn't just for you, it's for everyone else around you. The way you live your life is either illuminating God or it's hiding God. You can go to work and you can go to school and you can do whatever you are doing in your life in a way that glorifies God or a way that glorifies yourself. This is easier, by the way. I was talking to one of our pastors in church earlier who runs like the business sort of stuff in church. And we were saying we need to get this thing with young people and young adults. Like, how do you be like a shrewd, money-making business person with morals, but without like stuffing yourself over for the best deal? Like, I mean, go and ask Rachel Ray, she's a genius at this. But I'm just saying, like, there's a way you can do both things. And actually, the way, if you live your life on this side that's glorifying God, then God actually is on your side and starts to sort of just give you opportunity. And you get to be in rooms that you should never have been in the first place. But it's our responsibility, guys, to get people to the party. People can walk in. In fact, there's a young lady here who's it's her first week in youth and young adults night all in tonight. She Googled churches and came here. She's invited herself. You are welcome. We love you. You are awesome. And people can invite themselves. But let's be honest, not everyone is like you and as bold and brave as you. People need an invite. Okay. The people, the friends, those men, doesn't even say who they are. It doesn't matter who they are. Do you know why? Because the guy on the mat was not only saved from his sins, he was also healed because of their faith. So those men, right, did whatever it took for that guy to get into the presence of God. They took responsibility for something that probably actually wasn't even their responsibility. They did something so far extra than they could have, should have, would have, could have done, that the guy on the mat, he could have even been like, guys, what are you doing? I can't walk. You're just... I watched a YouTube video, and there's this guy who broke his leg, and he was in a wheelchair, and his friends took him to a shopping area and like wheeled him into the trolley cart bit, and then just put trolleys behind him, and then locked him to the trolleys, which I thought was funny. But this guy's like broken leg, stuck in a wheelchair, like, I can't get out. The paralyzed man may have not even wanted to go. But the friends were like, I don't care. I'm getting the corner of my mat. I'm taking responsibility for my area of what's happening here, and I'm going to walk you into the presence of God. And what does the presence of God never do? The presence of God never disappoints. Awesome. Okay, Dan Atkins, come up here for me. Jaden Barrett, where are you? Jaden, where are you? Dan, come up here for me. You are one of those men. No, you're one of those men. Doesn't matter if I... Jaden, come up here, please. You're going to set the mat for me, bro. Yeah. Now, Dan, I'd like you to pick up the mat. Wait. All right, all right, Jaden, I'll take a photo for your Instagram of this. Fine. That's not a bad effort. That's cool. All right, what I need Rafaro, I need Matt, and I would like, who else I'd pick on at the front row? Paul Reed. Let's have a look at you. Let's go up here. You got a strong man. You run every day. Boys, I want you to take responsibility for each one of your corners. Up you go. Dan, easy. It's like a weird version of the Mandalorian. If you could just take Jaden to the plunge pool around the back, that'd be great. We'll just baptize him in the name of those things. All right, cool. Karis, have Jaden's phone for me. Thanks, boys. You can put him down. You can leave him. You can leave him there. That's fine. That's all good. You can leave him there. That's fine. What I want to illustrate with this, right, is even though it was easier with 4 of them, there was still an effort, right, boys? It's still like you still feel the burn on your hands from from the mat, right? It wasn't an easy journey for the guys to get him into the presence of God. But the point is that the cost, the short-term cost of a burnt finger or a bit of an achy arm or a bit of a, even looking a bit weird walking around, like if we were like, yeah, cool, let's go to the Arndale now together. We all walk together and there's like Jaden in this little rug like this the whole way to the Arndale. So you got the opportunity to lose some sort of, I mean, I don't have any street cred, so it doesn't matter for me. I've got zero shame. So, but you hear what I'm saying? There's something to lose in that sense, isn't there? There's a cost you have to pay for those things. But we need the same mentality as those men. We need to get people into the presence of God no matter what it takes. And that doesn't just mean forcing someone and picking them up and like wrapping them. Don't kidnap people, right? Okay, let's go to the furthest point. Don't kidnap people and bring them to church. However, what I am saying to you is, if you need to pay for someone's Uber to come to church, get your hand in your pocket and pay for someone's Uber to come to church. If that's the barrier to get them over that point, I'm just saying, if you need to offer to buy them lunch beforehand in Manchester, you have got 1 week off setup. If you're going to bring someone to you to all in on a Sunday evening, right? I'm good for that, because the presence of God never. Thank you. Let's try again. The presence of God never disappoints. Honestly, the presence of God is the greatest party. Nowhere else is there liberty. Nowhere else is there freedom. Nowhere else is there healing. Nowhere else does Jesus speak into someone's life and says your sins are healed. Nowhere else is eternity changed the same way that the presence of God changes eternity. And we either get to keep that for ourselves, or we get to be a light on a hill, a lamp on a lampstand. So, how will your friends know if you don't tell them? You've got to go further. What can you do to get them into the presence of God? It's not what should you do, it's what can you do. Some men heard about something and they knew someone that needed to be there. Some men, someone, some you. Oh gosh, if we took responsibility and we had this little bit of urgency about the mission of God that is the calling on our lives. This is called I Dare because of the Great Commission. I dare you to go out into the world and make disciples. I dare you to go out into the world and make disciples. I dare you to go out into the world and make disciples. Oh gosh, if we all in could get a grip of that a little bit more every single week, I'm telling you this room wouldn't be big enough, because the presence of God never, ever, 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 ever disappoints. Okay. The friends, they got to the house, right? And there were some barriers. There were some things. It wasn't easy. They didn't get to the house and no one else was there. And they're just like swan in the front door. Boom, there you are. Jesus, heal that bad boy. No. They got there. And Alex, if you're here, you can shoot off around the corner if you haven't already. There were some barriers. The house was full. The house was already full. This church is already big. I don't need to bring my friend. There's not enough chairs at the back to things. Behind those curtains is 700 chairs that we could get out, but we aren't getting out because there'd be 700 empty chairs in the room. I believe for a day where we have not got enough chairs to reach people and we've got screens on the back, out in the back in the foyer as an overflow time, that doesn't happen without someone taking responsibility for someone and getting them into the house of God. Because once they're here, it's not your responsibility anymore. All right, Rafa, I will. Once they're here, it's not your responsibility anymore. The presence of God never disappoints. It never disappoints. The house might look full, but there's always more room. Then they were like, cool, the house is full. We should go home. This is rubbish. It's pointless. No, they didn't. What did they do? They went to the roof. Why did they go to the roof? I don't know, was it like some sort of like satellite thing that Jesus was doing? No, there wasn't. They just went to the roof and they thought, we've got to do something. We've got to do something. Now, my friend Elliot over here, when I was prepping this message, Elliot was like, did you know in the day houses were made of animal feces, of dung, right? So they went to the roof, okay, and even on the roof, full of dung, there was still no way into the house, right? So it was like, okay, they still didn't get disappointed. And I want you to know that the first time you ask someone to come to church or the first time you invite someone to come and they don't come, that isn't you failed. It's the first try. If you don't succeed, go to the roof. Try a different way. There's a different way into the house because if the house is full, there's a different way in. That's the second thing they did. They went to the roof. The third thing is they got on their hands and knees in crap and dug through crap to make a hole in order for somebody else to get through the hole to have their moment in the presence of God. Sometimes the breakthrough that you create isn't even for you. It is for people that are going to follow you afterwards. I really believe there's people in this room that you're going to have a breakthrough moment. You're going to create breakthrough moments for people, and you're not even going to be the person lowered into the building. You're going to watch as people are lowered into the building, healed, set free, and walk out the front door. And you're like, okay, next, let's go. There's a call of God on some people's lives here to see people that are marginalized, see people that don't have liberty, to see people that are not free, to see people that are underprivileged, and to see them and say, I see a way through, I see a way for you, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to see breakthrough in your life. All in. Manchester looks very different when we start taking responsibility for our workplace, for our school, for young people in schools. I go to schools now, right, and there was 15 kids with us on Wednesday last week. This week was half term, right? 15 kids. And I'm there with Ethan, and I'm there with Lydia, and we're literally not even doing a whole lot. We're playing like Uno and like giant Jenga. But these kids, there's something in them that's attracted to why we're there, because we're just there for them. And I just said, hey, I've got a minibus in a couple of weeks' time and I've got some permission off your parents. Would you come to All In? They're like, yep. And I was like, oh, evangelism's easy then. Like second week of meeting these kids, sometimes some of them the first week, they're all just like, yeah, if this is something that I can access more often, like get me through the door. I feel like we've gone in and we've dug through some crap for them. And now we're like, hey, let me just get you in through here. I absolutely am desperate to see the young people of Manchester find something that they've been looking for. I'm desperate. I've got a real heart for universities, actually. I am desperate for you as students, not to rely on your Christian union, although that is good, to do some stuff. I'm desperate for you to get a heart for students that you are around every day and do something for them that is unmistakably a move of Jesus. We've got to go on. The presence of God will never disappoint. Hey, once they opened the roof, everyone was looking at them. It cost them something again. They'll look very stupid if Jesus had gone, what are you doing? Go away. Did Jesus say that? No. Jesus watched them, did it, and was like, their faith has healed you. I love this. His sins are forgiven. He speaks to the guys who he is way before he sees what he thinks his issue is. The guy being paralyzed, Jesus wasn't so bothered about that. His eternal destiny is the thing Jesus was bothered about. The miracle of this is that his eternal destiny was changed in a moment. And then Jesus was like, oh, if you think that's cool, oh, by the way, at your pop. Go walk home, mate. And he's like, oh, cheers. And the thing that carried him in the first place, the thing that like other people carry them in with, was the very thing that he rolled up under his arm and he walked out with at the end. Oh gosh, I think there's some stuff that you can carry for other people that they're going to get free of, and then they're almost going to walk out of places and just be like, cool, well, that was something that used to define me, and put that in the corner now of the room, and just carry on. Just, I'm saying it flippantly, but I'm just being real with you. There's stuff that I've gone through that's defined me for years that now I'm like, oh, do you remember that time I used to do that thing and it was really tough? Oh, what happened? I had a moment with God and everything changed. Presence of God never disappoints. Carrying someone doesn't look like a one-time only thing. Consistent consistency with people is always going to win. Invite someone to church one-off, that's cool. That's a really good thing to do. Karis does it with Uber drivers. And one time an Uber driver came in and came to the front and responded to Jesus. Right? That's sick, right? That's just... This happens to Karis all the time as a really weird coincidence. But she actively goes out and actually looks at opportunities to evangelize to people, just in a really natural way, right? That's one thing. Then we got a friend called Rob that we walked through the hardest time of his life with him. And then he came to church. He got saved. And his wife that passed away, she made a decision, we believe, on her deathbed. Karis prayed with her. And their kids are now in our church on a regular basis. Why? Because we took the corner of our mat and we took this corner here and we shouldered it. And do you know what the best thing was? Is our church, people from our church came around and were like, give me a corner, give me a corner, give me a corner. And people provided this family with meals after their wife had died. The people in our church went out and sang a carol service on like Christmas Eve for this woman who died on Boxing Day. Our church took responsibility and carried this family into the presence of God. And it was a sad time. Would I wish it had changed and she would still be alive? 100%. But my gosh, the presence of God never disappointed in that moment, because I got to lead my friend to Christ. And I'm believing for you, there's going to be a moment for some of you in this room. You're going to lead that person that you think is never going to be in church. You're going to believe that person that's going to be in your family and laughs at you when you go to church. You're going to have a moment where you're going to see them put their hand in the sky and respond to Jesus. Why? Because you took responsibility. Because the presence of God never, ever, 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 ever disappoints. We're called all in for a reason, people. We're not all in because we can't be bothered sometimes. We're not called all in because, on a Tuesday, actually, I'm not going to bother. No, we're called all in because carrying someone looks like you having a conversation with them in the lunch line on a Tuesday, because you're still all in on a Tuesday. There's a video that was up here the other day of Russell, just over here. Russell's video of his testimony is unbelievable, right? He is all in for his studies. He's all in for God. And even when he's in Oxford University on his full scholarship for physics, because he's a genius, right? He is still all in for his church at home on the IT team, and he learned to code just to be part of that team. The man's all in. Be more like Russell. Learn physics. Hey, really quickly, I just want to just honor Will Shelton. Where are you, bro? Where's he gone? Stand up for me. With your weird blue beard. This is my friend Will, right? Will did what I'm asking you to do. He had some urgency. He had a heart for someone. And he said, hey, I'm going to invite this person to church. I'd like to invite to the stage. And Alex Roberts, where are you, my friend? Give this girl a shout and a round of applause.
Hello.
Hey, so, Alex, share why I've asked you to come and be up here, mate.
Yeah, so I was invited to church maybe July, August last year. And I think we have this belief about us that you ask someone to come to church, say yes, and they say no, and that's it. And that's where it ends. But that's not how it started for me. We were just talking about God. We were talking about what he did over the weekend and just stuff like that. And I think as Christians, it's our job to plant that seed. And it's God's job to grow the idea and give us the courage to go with that. And skipping forward to being here, I was so uncomfortable and I was so scared when I first came. But I think it's the people in this church and church across the world that make it feel so comfortable. And those people, they prayed for me. I was crying my eyes out, but I felt so calm and so at peace. And I felt loved. And in that moment, all I could hear was, "It's okay and you're safe." And just kept going over and over and over and over in my head. And now I'm growing day by day with God. I have my hard times. There's stuff I struggle with, like all of us do. But my life and that moment completely changed my life around. It's the things that have happened to me since are insane. I wouldn't have thought they were real. And I just want to encourage you that this week you can't let your pride and your fear of a rejection and saying no get in the way of God's plan for you and your friends. And you have to take that step because God's calling you to it, and God's calling you to a name, and He's calling you to say, "Hey, what I did over the weekend, I met God. I had this experience, and it had this impact on my life. Fancy coming?" That's all it takes.
So good, Alex.
Thank you.
Give Alex a round of applause. Right there, right there, right there. Hey, this time last year, Alex had never been to church. Youth camp happened, a moment that happened in the presence of God. Come on, people. The presence of God never disappoints. Alex, I want to honor you because you are an absolute legend. And we're so proud of you, not just for decisions that you're making, but actually the way you are with new people and the way you are when you speak to people. You are you're doing what happened to you, to other people. And I just want to honor you for that. And I think don't stop doing that. Your love for God and what God's doing in your life is infectious. And I want you to keep doing what you're doing. You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
Change your football shirt, though. Sweet. Hey, I think, I'm going to be blunt right for a second. I think sometimes we can want to help people dig through some of the crap in their lives. And we can kind of sometimes, you know how sometimes people have got this perception of what church looks like. And you go, "Oh, no, it's not that. We've got screams and dancing and like smoke and like, you know, G-O-D to the core, you know, all this stuff." And it's almost like we are fighting to sort of own that the church is different and it's good. And we're like almost digging through like the crap for some other people that they just can't get over. And then sometimes you look up after digging through that stuff and you've praised hard and it's been really good. And you forgot to carry your friend to the house. And I think we've got to do the carrying before we can do the digging. I just need you to hear that for a second. You've got to do the carrying before you can do the digging. And I just believe in this room tonight that God's going to start putting a bit of an urgency on you and break your heart for something and someone. You can do some carrying. I don't know what carrying looks like for your friend Matthew. I don't know what that looks like for you. And it will look different for one friend and it will to the next friend. And it will maybe take 3 weeks for one friend and 7 years for another friend. My nan got saved when I think she was about 50, and my granddad got saved when he was about 70, which is cool. There's a 20-year gap between those things. And my dad got saved, by the way, when he was 5, and my nan was about 30. Like my dad had like 45 years of like trying to get his dad saved. One day, came into the presence of God. So God never disappoints. In verse 5 it says that he saw their faith. Can people see yours? You may need to reevaluate some stuff of how you're doing some stuff, where you're putting your time, where your priorities are lying. Because if their faith got the man into the presence of God, can people see our faith? Is that helping them to get into the presence of God? Sometimes I need to work on that, honestly. Sometimes my attitude's not right. I think sometimes I'm more interested in what I'm wearing than what I'm saying or where I am or what I'm doing. We need some urgency because the presence of God never, ever disappoints. Hey, look, if we do this, verse 12 gives us like the punchline to the story. It says, he got up, took his mat, walked out in full view. This amazed everyone. They praised God, saying, "We've never seen anything like this." Who wants to have some friends that come into church, come out amazed, praising God, saying, "My word, we've never seen anything like this"?